All right. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. At this moment, we will have a call to order, establish that we have enough members to conduct our business today. Blanca?
Okay, yeah, I believe we do. Should I do the roll call?
Yes, please.
Okay, so Nora Lopez,
Present.
Julio Cesar Chavez,
Here.
Yvette Cabrera,
Here.
Arelis Hernandez,
Here.
Keldy Ortiz,
Here.
Blanca Rios here, Jennifer Marcial Ocasio. I thought
I'm here.
Jessica Retis. I know
Here.
you're here. Okay. McNally Torres,
Presente.
David Cordero. David, are you here?
Not yet.
Okay. Jamie Stockwell, is she here yet? No, right?
Not yet.
Jamie actually just arrived right now.
Okay, I'll count her as in. Jamie, I'm counting you as in. Okay.
Thank you.
Macaya,
Here.
Elwyn Lopez. I know she's not here. Nanette Sosa. She get here yet? Okay, no. Valerie Mia Juarez.
Here.
Johnny Cordova.
Here.
Christy Fajardo.
Here.
And Jorge Flores.
Here.
We have a quorum. Okay.
Yay, we have a quorum. At this point, let's go ahead and do I have a motion to approve the minutes of our previous board meeting? Or is there any questions or discussions about it?
I move to approve it unless there's an issue.
I second that motion.
Okay, we have the motion on the floor to approve minutes from our last meeting. Is there any discussion? No? We'll just do a voice call then. All those in favor of approving the minutes, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
Just to be
Any
clear,
nays?
seconded, right? Was that?
Yes, it was seconded by Julio Cesar.
Yeah.
If I recall correctly. Okay, the minutes of our previous meeting have been approved, and we'll move on. Thank you again for being with us here today. I hope everybody's staying warm wherever you are. There seems just to be a lot of cold across the country. As you all know, we're still without an executive director, but we're close, and I'll speak more on those efforts a little later. But I really want to assure our members that even without an ED, the work that NHJ does continues, thanks to our great staff and to the dedication of our national board members, all of whom contribute in many different ways to the ongoing success of our organization. We spend a great deal of time on various committees, tackling some important issues that all benefit our mission and the industry. These committees, by the way, are also a fantastic way for NHJ members to get involved. Later in today's agenda, you'll hear some updates on all those efforts. Right now, I'd like to share just a little bit about the state of NHJ since my last email to our members. The organization continues strong. We're over 4,000 members. We have maintained our membership of over 4,000. That's still a record. So I like to think that our growing membership is a reflection of our Latino journalists' commitment to our communities, and it demonstrates their determination to make a difference. So I applaud our members for the ongoing work that they do. We continue, of course, in addition to our conference, we continue to offer a variety of panels and sessions, all designed to give our members the tools that they need to succeed, to either get that first job, or if they want to move on up the ladder to continue to get those skills necessary to become newsroom leaders. Over the last 2 years, we've trained over 2,000 journalists, educators, students from all over the country. And if you're interested, you can find a library of recordings of all those sessions within the membership portal. So I encourage you to check it out if you missed it the first time around. Lots of valuable information there. Most recently, towards the end of the year, we held our Nha Awards, the Noche de Triunfos. That was a show that was carried by Telemundo, and it garnered more than 8,000 views. Congratulations to the staff and judges for all their behind the scenes work to make that event such a huge success. I want to tell you a little bit more about one of the core missions that we work on throughout the year, and that's our advocacy effort. We have a committee called the Rapid Response Team that is super active on Slack, chaired by our at-large member, Magnelli Torres. We tackle a variety of issues, and we issue statements, and sometimes we just join other groups in do joint efforts to continue to advocate for freedom of the press, a free press for all, and fair representation in newsrooms and news coverage remain our key priorities. So to that end, NHJ joined about 8 other organizations that represented several thousand rank and file California journalists to preserve the media's ability to cover the courts and really the public's ability to stay informed about what's going on in court proceedings. And I'm referring to the USA Today v. Los Angeles Superior Court, the Britney Spears case, in which the Supreme Court denied remote access to the proceedings, which was really just unconscionable, because safe access to court proceedings is a necessity during a pandemic. It's not a reason to shut down court access. So it's imperative that legal proceedings be open to the press and the public, and NHJ was proud to add our name to that cause. Most recently, the Rapid Response Team issued a statement on the proper use of Spanish surnames. I know everybody's familiar with the tragic story of the accidental killing of 14-year-old Valentina Orellano Peralta, who was killed by a stray bullet in a Los Angeles shop as police confronted and fatally shot the suspect, Daniel Elena Lopez. NHJ urged reporters and editors to verify how people of Latino heritage use their last names. It's amazing to me that it still continues to be an issue when really it's just good reporting practice to make sure you go over with your sources how they want to be identified. But the Orellano case is really, it's a good example of the importance of addressing cultural and linguistic representation in our newsrooms. This week, we joined other journalism groups in calling on newsrooms to address the rising safety threats against multimedia journalists. I know everybody's familiar with the recent incident in which reporter Tori Yorgi was hit by a car while reporting a live broadcast. NHJ has asked for newsrooms to implement safety policies and guidelines to help improve the increasingly dangerous and taxing environment in which multimedia journalists are required to work. I know that news stations save a lot of money by cutting back to a single person crew, but it comes at the expense of journalist safety, and that needs to stop. Distressingly, NHA also issued a statement in the last couple of weeks against the continued violence against our colleagues in Mexico. I really want to take a moment to acknowledge the tragedy that continues to unfold there. We learned that veteran broadcaster Lourdes Maldonado Lopez was shot to death inside her car in Tijuana. She's the 3rd journalist to be killed in just the first month of the year. Vigils were held across Mexico this week, denouncing the pattern of brutality that's being waged against journalists and really the impunity with which it's allowed to persist. We stand with our Mexican colegas and the Committee to Protect Journalists in urging Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador to fully investigate the slayings of Maldonado Lopez, as well as José Luis Gamboa Arenas and Alfonso Margarito Martinez Esquivel, and to end his attacks on the press. It's clear that the routine hostility that AMLO directs towards journalists has had the effect of giving permission and encouraging, really, to use violence to silence inconvenient truths and to exact reprisals for investigating corruption. At least 28 members of the press have been killed during his tenure. And before she died, Maldonado Lopez pleaded with the president for protection. It's a fact that without the free exercise of independent journalism, there is no democracy, not in Mexico, nor any nation, including our own. Even though NHA's membership may largely be US based, for many of us, our lives, work, and our hearts are not confined to any one country's border. As this hurts our Mexican colleagues, it also pains us, and we stand in solidarity for justice and a future free of violence for journalists everywhere, but particularly right now in Mexico. I'm so proud of the work our rapid response team does. You can rely on NHJ to continue to be assertive in advocating for Latino visibility as well as accurate news coverage. On another front, we've been hard at work at trying to carve out a path for NHJ's future. By that, I'm speaking about formulating a 5-year strategic plan. We've been working with a consulting firm, La Piana, to help us get that document straight. And a little later, you'll get a full report on these efforts from Yvette Cabrera. She's our VP for online, and she's been chairing the strategic plan. We've really been bearing down on this and meeting bi-weekly, it seems sometimes, to really hone in on what are the issues that are important to NHJ and what are the goals that we want to set for our organization so that we continue to remain both financially healthy, but also to address the needs of our membership. So as part of that, we issued a survey to membership so we could hear directly from you on what you think we should be prioritizing. And if you have not filled out the survey, you can find it on the front page of our website. And please, please, I encourage you to share your ideas with us. Our hope is to present this plan at our annual conference in Vegas later this year. I also want to point out that, you know, we're in scholarship mode right now. We've got deadlines coming up, and I really want to encourage our student members to take advantage. We have over $100,000 in opportunities. So circle these dates. February 11th is the deadline for our scholarships, internships, and fellowships. And February 18th is the deadline for the NHJ Student Project. Again, you can find information on all of these things on our website. Oh, and I also want to note that we have created a new scholarship this year, one aimed directly at our Afro Latinx students. This is a result of a partnership with the Fiddler family and NHJ. The scholarship will be awarded to Afro-Latino students who are interested in pursuing careers in English or Spanish language journalism, and it's in honor of the late Ada Lourdes Fiddler. The application is also open right now. Scholarships will be awarded for the 2022-23 school year. This is an initial agreement of $30,000. So I really encourage our students to put in for it. And even if these programs aren't for you, it's still a chance for you to share this opportunity with someone else who you might think might be interested. So I encourage you to do that. We're in the throes of planning for our combined convention in August 3rd through the 7th in Las Vegas. It's in conjunction with NABJ. We've been slowly pulling that committee together. I want to thank our 2 board members who have stepped up to be the program chairs, McNelly Torres and our treasurer, Keldy Ortiz. And joining them on that committee is fellow board members, Jennifer Marcial Ocasio, Jessica Redes, as well as Yoli Martinez, who has been our previous program chair for several years and brings a lot of experience to the table. Super happy that group is working and looking for your suggestions. So please don't miss out on that opportunity to submit a session proposal. In fact, we had a webinar in both Spanish and English to help give members advice on how to enter or submit a proposal. So I encourage you to, we have a playback video on our YouTube channel where you can go back and look at those suggestions. And then just yesterday, day before yesterday, we announced our convention chairs. I'm so thrilled that we will have Luz Gray and Claudia Cruz. These are both members in Nevada, so they will be able to give us some on the ground coaching and thoughts on the shaping up of the conference. Luz has been with the Nevada Independent since it launched in 2017. She oversees the Nevada Independent in Espanol division. She is an editor, edits Spanish language stories. She oversees the assembly of the Spanish newsletter, and she produces and hosts the Cafecito Nevada podcast and radio show in Vegas. She's got a strong history of service to NHJ. She served as president of the NHJ Nevada chapter in 2014. Claudia is the managing editor of the Reynolds School of Journalism's Noticiero Móvil. That's a faculty-run, student-produced bilingual news service. She's only been in this role for a short time, but she's already having an impact. The media outlet and its journalism partners won a 2021 Murrow Award for Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion for their bilingual pandemic coverage. Before she joined the University of Nevada, Reno, she was a technology reporter for CNET in Espanol, where she covered industry and corporations like Apple, Alphabet, and so forth. She is also a former chapter leader. She served as president of our NHJ Bay Area chapter at one time. So really excited at the perspectives and diverse backgrounds that Luz and Claudia bring to the table. And we're very excited about that. Our news website, Palabra, continues to be just a huge success. Not only creating opportunity for our freelance communities, but really just providing insightful and in-depth reporting on issues that are important to the Latino community. We've commissioned well over 100 freelancers, editors, and visual journalists. And we're also completing the transition from our founding managing editor, Ricardo Sandoval Palos, to Valeria Fernandez. And I want to take the opportunity right now to congratulate Valeria, who was just selected as an Emerson Collective Fellow. This is really a coveted program, and with their support, Valeria is going to launch Alta Voz Lab. That's going to be a collaborative project that we hope is going to strengthen reporting in small community outlets that serve people of color and immigrants. And lastly, as I said earlier, I believe we're close to selecting a new executive director. I know it's been a really long process, but I think it's important that we take our time because we want to select the right person to lead us into the future. This is a personnel matter, so I'm really limited in what I can discuss in order to ensure the privacy of those who've applied. But I can tell you that we've interviewed several candidates and that 3 made it past the search committee to the next round of interviews with staff and board members. And we've gotten some really, really strong applicants. And later today, the board will meet in executive session to continue those discussions and decide on the next step. So look soon for an announcement on that front. And that concludes my report. I'm now going to call on our treasurer, Keldy Ortiz, who's going to present our 2022 budget. Thank you. Keldy.
Hi. All right. I'll go over the budget. What I kind of wanted to do first, I wanted to at least talk about where we are, like with the proper budget versus actual as of at least November. I was trying to get the report for as of December, but we still have a lot of bills that are missing, stuff that we have to be paid, so I can't get that. So let me see if I can share the screen. All right, cool, I can. So can everybody see this? All right, cool. All right. So essentially where we are as of November. So this is basically how what we brought in. So far, I'll just go to the bottom real quick. We budgeted for 1.28 and we actually are at 1.8. This is largely in part from the advertising income, which essentially is from Journalism Next, the people that job employers employers post on our website, and we charge them because it shouldn't be for free. And so we budgeted for 75. Okay, and we actually brought in 157, so double that amount. And for grants, we budgeted for 350, and we've actually doubled that. Those grants, I believe, consist of Ford Foundation and Democracy Fund, and I believe there might be one other. I just don't have that in front of me at this point. Some of the investment is essentially what we've had maintained in our accounts with UBS. It's our investing account that we have we've had for a number of years. So yeah, it's accrued basically a lot of we've grown a lot in income. And for membership dues, this I really got to give a shout out to some of the NHA members. We budgeted for 70,000 and it came in 120. I think this is largely in part to some of the board members board members and NHA members. I don't know if the person's here. I know Robert Hernandez has really been big in helping out and making sure that some students that don't have a membership become a member, and contributing to asking people to help pay for membership. Really appreciate that. That's really that definitely is appreciative. So we've grown that to 120, and that's how we've gotten our 4,000 members. So for the conference, we had it virtual last year, and we budgeted for 669 and we brought in 800,000. It's largely in part to our media sponsorship. Essentially, these are companies that are coming in, some to looking for employees. This part is thanks to BA and her staff, and I'm sure some NHA board members. And that's what we are with income. In terms of this bad debt, I don't know where this is from, but also I do want to say a caveat that this is as of November, so that may not actually be here come December. The hope is that once we can get a budget approved, we will share this out and have a more detailed report for everyone. So that's for the income. For expenses, essentially, we had budgeted, let's just go to the bottom real quick. We had budgeted for 1.2 and it's at 178. So we're still missing we're still missing 531. I don't know where that is coming from. I mean, I know there is still some bills that we have not paid because we are still missing some money to be paid to us so we can pay others. Yeah, I think that's mostly, I'm trying to think what really was significant. personnel costs, we budgeted for 430, but it's obviously down because we don't have an executive director. So that's obviously not going to, we save money by not having an executive director, although I'm sure the NHA staff would like to have one at some point, hopefully soon. So that's really about it. The consulting fees, this went up largely because we also hired a search firm to find an executive director, and we've done a search firm for partner with someone for strategic planning. I believe we may be done paying this strategic. Actually, no, we're not done paying the strategic planning. I think it was a cost of about $30,000, if I'm not mistaken, and I believe for the finding a search executive director is about, I think it was about 60,000, I think. So that's why it's the increase. That's why it's we're a little bit over in that account. So that's really about it for that part. Any questions with the budget versus actual before I present the actual budget, the 2022 budget proposal?
I have a question on.
Sure, please.
Clarification, Keldy, correct me if I'm wrong. On the strategic planning, to be clear to the audience present, we got a grant also for that, right? That pays part of it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The grant. I don't know what the name of the grant is.
It was from Dow Jones, and it was
Okay.
$15,000.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So that paid for, I don't know if that paid for the, that paid for a portion of it. I don't know. That pays for a portion of it. So NHA had to come out of pocket. So it was, I think it was like 30,000. Yeah, we only came out like 15. So we saved a bit on that.
And the other part too of that is, and I guess Nora can chime in on that, is that NHA has not had a strategic plan, and the last time that a board did that was back in 2000. So it's been a long time since the organization has really sat down and just thought about the future and where the organization wants to go.
That's correct, McNally. I hate pointing this out because it just tells you how old I am, but the last time we had a 5-year strategic plan was in 2000 when I was last on the board. So it's very, very much needed, especially because, we are just growing by leaps and bounds, you guys. It's just phenomenal. But that also means, we need to take a close look at the growing needs of our membership. So I consider it money well spent to get that professional guidance to help us navigate and really drill down on, what we think is important for our organization and for our members, and to formulate a plan, a vision of how we're going to move this organization forward, at least over the next 5 years. You'll get it.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Any questions from, thank you very much, you two. Any questions from other board members, audience, before I talk about the proposal, the 2022 NHA proposal budget? No? All right. Also, feel free to email me also at kortiz@nhja.org. I'll answer questions. They'll probably be really late at night because I just don't sleep, but I'll try to answer them as best as I can. So without further ado, I will get to the proposed budget. Now, can everybody see this? Yes. Okay, cool. Before I get with this, this is my first time I've ever had to do a budget that's not related for work. So I asked former financial officer Geraldine, and I asked the accountant to kind of help me with this. And this was also done in looking with the budget from 2020 and 2021, 2020. 2019 and 2016. In 2016, that was the first convention that we did with NABJ. So I wanted to like look at the, at least have various different budgets before I start preparing it. So our proposed budget for this year would be 1.5 for 2022. And this is largely in preparation for the conference, since theoretically it will be in Las Vegas. I know that we have in the past we've made more, but I'd rather just be safe and just say we will make that we'll bring in about 650. I'll just round out 650,000. You know, if we make more, great. If you know, I'd rather under budget than over budget for this. The grants, this is essentially, you know, we're going to bring in 555,000. This is essentially a little bit more than double, although we have one grant at this point, and that's from Democracy Fund. So really, it would be about 400,000 that we will be potentially brought in. But again, I should say there's a caveat that this can all subject to change, because I would like to probably reevaluate this with the executive director if and when he or she is brought on board to make the changes. Advertising income, again, is essentially what we the job employers post on our NHJ website for career to look for candidates. This is for the awards for you know, if we have the awards we typically do at the conference. The donations, this is basically just essentially random people that, you know, have open their pockets and say, hey, we want to give money to NHJ. Say, sure, why not? Just write the check to NHJ. Grants, I explained a little bit. Investment income is essentially what our investment and how we think it may grow, although that could definitely change if inflation is not tempered down at this point. Membership dues, we expect this to increase marginally because we hope that there will be more, we could get more members. It's totally possible that this may get decreased, but this is what we at least put for now. And again, these are based on the last few years, how we've essentially doubled. I mean, if you see what we did for 2021, as of November, it's at 120. So it's reasonable that we could reach that amount, or it may not. So yeah, it's possible. Miscellaneous income, this one, I don't really know what this one is accrued for. I think this is just to pay something random that may come about that I don't that we may get. I don't know. I'm sorry, I'll have to come back with everyone about that. We left these blank because we typically just don't put them, we don't really have any revenue at this point from online advertising and publication review. Registration fees, these are basically for, again, we haven't spent it, so, but we just keep it there just in case. And the conference revenue is essentially what we propose for, what we may bring in for the 2022 conference in Las Vegas. So that's for what we bring in revenue. So hold on, I see we got questions. No questions. This is for the revenue. I just want to get through the expenses real quick. And I apologize in advance because what I sent out to the board, I have a little bit itemized for the conference expenses. So I'll just go back to my notes with that. Essentially expenses, this is what we expect to spend. These are all these basically from line item 6100 to 95. These are all non-conference related expenses. So essentially we, again, these are based off the last few budget cycles and how much we've spent. These are, most are pretty standard. The computer software is basically paying for our cybersecurity, make sure our website does not get hacked. Food and beverages, this is like if for a conference, a chapter wants to host an event and they may need some money, we may have to probably increase this, but at least this is what we put for now, and we haven't spent any over the last year. So financial services, essentially what we pay for the accountant and get our auditing done. Insurance, or as I like to call it, our CYA, so we don't get sued, because we do have our palabra from our news because we have a news organization. And the internet access is for NHJ staff to use their have internet so they can do work. Membership, the meal entertainment, this is essentially what is spent. This is not actually for food. This is just like a form of entertainment, and we spent this last year. It was spent in 10,000, and this was to help put on our event that we had in November for the conference. I mean, I'm sorry, not for the conference, for our award ceremony that we had in early November, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So that was
Keldy, it does also include the conference, when we did the Hall of Fame. It's for all those types of expenses that we did.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
it's for the year.
Yes, you're right. Yes, it is. You're right. It is for all that. What else? The personnel costs. I think this one I want to just like talk a little bit about. This personnel cost is going to include this includes the salaries for the 3 employees and contract employee that we have at this point. That also includes the taxes and health insurance for the 3 employees, and the exception of the contract employee that we have that doesn't get insurance. What else? Professional service fees. This is basically what we contract with our outside employees. Outside contractors to do our work, whether it's from BA or her staff to what else am I thinking for? If we have any outside, like if we want some type of consultation, that's basically what we propose, and this is basically in line with what we spent the last year, and made sense to leave it like that. And scholarships is basically what it increased by 10,000. Is basically what we're going to spend in scholarship, give out in scholarships. And this is our sponsorships events, expenses. The telephone, it seems, so explain, sorry, our employees, most of them get a cell phone. Travel, this is for non-conference related stuff. If we have like a board meeting, we haven't had one in person, but it's just out there. Website, basically 5,000 to maintain our website in palabra. Workshop reimbursements. If an event is hosted and NHJ compensates, and NHJ compensates the host for the workshop. And essentially the last one is the conference expenses. This is essentially what we expect to pay in conference expenses, and that includes quite a bit of items that I just want to pull up on my other screen that I have. That consists, hold on, of let me just see if I have this right. That is 100. So we see here 584. The expenses are consist of 120,000 in AV rental expense fees, 160 for conference management, 115 for food and beverage. Let's see, professional services and contractors. The conference travel, this is essentially what we pay if we pay, in instances, we do pay for board members. If their employer does not pay for them, we do offer that. And we also do pay for our for the student project members. We budgeted that at for 50,000, and the hotel expense is 74,000 to pay for, again, for employee board members and student project members. And we have transportation is 2,000, and no, sorry, the transportation is 4,000. And so that basically roughs out to our budget, which is 1.549, 399,000, 399, I'm sorry, $1,549,399.54. So that is all it from me. And yeah, I'll take any questions, comments, concerns, hate mail, whatever.
Thank you, Keldy. I just want to remind our members that Keldy stepped in and took on a really important role in spearheading our budget in the absence of an ED. Ordinarily, he would have still been involved with the process, but working with the ED, who would have been doing most of the heavy lifting. So I can't tell you how much I appreciate Keldy really taking on this role and making sure, again, that our group continues to operate without any noticeable blip in services to our members. I will entertain a motion to approve the budget.
Oh, wait, is there any questions? Anybody got questions? Please, questions.
That can come during discussion.
Oh, all right, my bad.
Is there a motion to approve the budget?
I, Blanca, can move to approve the budget.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve the 2022 budget. Is there further discussion or questions at this time?
No one has questions? Come on.
Come on, guys.
I'm not saying I'll be able to answer it, but come on, there's no questions. Nothing. Dios mío. All right.
Okay, let's take a roll call vote on the budget. Blanca,
Nora,
approve.
Julio Cesar,
Aye.
Yvette,
Yes.
Arelis,
Yes.
Keldy,
Oh, yes.
Blanca, yes. Jennifer,
Yes.
Jessica,
Yes.
McNally,
Sí.
David,
Yes.
Jamie,
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Is Elwyn on yet or no? Okay.
No, she's not gonna, she's
Okay.
covering the bridge collapse.
Nanette, are you on?
I apologize the lateness, but yes.
Okay. Valerie Mia Juarez, or,
Yes.
Johnny,
Yes.
Christy,
Yes.
and Jorge.
Yes.
All right. It passes unanimously, right?
Thank you so much again, Keldy, for leading this, and thank you, the board. We have a financial plan in place. Yay.
Subject
And
to
now,
change in 6 months, but you know. Yeah.
what's that, Keldy?
I said subject to change in 6 months, but yes, we can work right now.
A guiding plan for the next 6 months at least, so that's wonderful. Thank you. And now we're going to hear from our regional directors. As I previously mentioned, we are all full-time working journalists, so I'm going to call on them a little out of order in order to accommodate Valerie, who's got to go out to a breaking news assignment. So we're going to start off with Region 6. Valerie.
Thank you so much, Nora. Yeah, I have to cover a fire, victims of fire in about 45 minutes from now. So going to be heading out there shortly. But my Region 6 report that I have, today is, first of all, I can't say enough about the members of my region and just all the great work that they're doing. So what I'm about to share with you guys is just a snippet of just, what the amazing things that Region 6 is doing. So I'm going to begin by giving a huge round of applause to the Greater Cleveland Association chapter. They only just, started their chapter last April, and they're just doing so much amazing work. Just a few days ago, I think on Thursday, the chapter partnered up with the Greater Cleveland Association of NEBJ for a virtual event, the city's mayor. So together with the NESJ local chapter, NEBJ chapter as well, they collaborated. They heard from the mayor on, plans to advance the city and, other great work as well. So that is, huge thing, especially for that area and for that chapter for, stepping forward to, make events like this. Also, they've been partnering up with different local organizations in the area and just seeing, what they can do to really get the word out about the NESJ chapter out there. Just earlier this month in January, they had the NEHJ Greater Cleveland logo featured in a citywide 3 Kings Day celebration program. So the word of NEHJ Greater Cleveland chapter is really making it a mark in the city out there. So great work to, Rosalind, the chapter president, and all the board members out there. Like I said, that's just a few of the things that they've been doing. They also had, back in early December, they also had a virtual event on Zoom with Henry Gomez with NBC News. For their members, they also had some in-person events as well. So I'm very proud of, again, Rosalind Munoz for really stepping forward and leading the efforts for a chapter that just started last April and already a huge success in less than a year. So, huge round of applause for them. And then for our NAHJ Wisconsin chapter, do want to mention that in November, we had several members of the NAHJ Wisconsin chapter cover the controversial trial of Kyle Rittenhouse that made national news. So I want to say, great work to the local journalists from the NHA Wisconsin chapter who really stepped forward to make sure that they provided fair and accurate coverage during this trial. And speaking of the Wisconsin chapter, a huge shout out as well to one of our members, NHA Wisconsin treasurer. Hopefully I pronounced her name correctly, but Sharni Amhara. She's the treasurer of the chapter and she's jumping news market. She just announced that she's been promoted to go to Miami. So she's moving from Milwaukee to Miami to work for NBC6 South Beach as an anchor and reporter. So congratulations to her and all the success that she has moving forward. Here in Green Bay, I know a lot of our also journalists have also done a great job covering all the recent Packer games during football season, and now with the postseason as well. So congratulations, to them as well, for all the work that they've done as well. And then one thing I did want to mention that is happening here across the Green Bay area is out of the 4, so I work for the Green Bay NBC affiliate here in the area. And out of the 4 news stations here in Green Bay, just over the last month and a half between December and January, we've had 3 news directors out of the 4 stations. So that is something that I kind of want to see if we can have a meeting moving forward with different managers out there, just so we're all on the same page. everyone left for personal reasons, from what I have heard. So nothing, in there, but wanted to see if I could, because I know with my new news director, I have discussed with him about NAHJ and the work that NAHJ does and what it means to me and, the state of Wisconsin. So I'm hoping with new management across Green Bay and possibly across the state that we can, this quarter, we can come up with a virtual event or a Zoom call so that we can all kind of just be on the same page and share our mission, hopefully have them be on the same page as well with new managers. As for the Nha Chicago chapter, board members there are starting to plan out their annual Nuevo Comienzo scholarship fundraiser for a little bit later this year. I know a lot of work is already being done to get that kicked off soon. So a lot of positive progress up to this point. So definitely stay tuned for that very, very soon. Also huge shout out. I don't know if we have mentioned this recently yet, but huge shout out from the Chicago chapter as well. Virginia Matos was promoted as ABC7 Chicago's first Latina executive producer. So huge shout out for her as well. So again, these are just a few amazing things that our members in our region are doing and all the great work as journalists. Moving forward, I'm hoping that we can all continue to work together to further our mission and help our membership grow in skills and knowledge, especially here in our region. Something that I would also like to further in conversation with our members in Region 6, and it's something that Nora actually mentioned earlier in the beginning of our board meeting, is about MMJ safety following the incident with the reporter in West Virginia. I'm an MMJ myself, and across our Region 6 board, there are a lot of MMJs as well, from Milwaukee to Green Bay to other cities across our region. So it's something that when we saw the incident that happened with this reporter in West Virginia, we all kind of saw ourselves with this MMJ. So this is something that moving forward, I'm hoping that we can continue to have conversations about this with our members, with our chapters, and really just, figure out what we can do and how we can, address this to our managers and hopefully make change in the future. But yeah, that's all I have for now. And again, huge congratulations to all of our chapters within the region and everyone for their success.
Nora, you're on mute.
You missed a beautiful tribute to Valerie. No, thank you, Valerie. Appreciate that. If there are no questions for Valerie, we'll let her go on to her interview. Thank you, Valerie. Good luck with that. Next, we'll hear from our Region 1 Director, David.
Hi, Nora. Hi, Nora. Hi, all.
Buenas.
How are you?
Muy bien, gracias.
All right, great. So this past 2021 year was full of challenge, but also great opportunities. As you all know, my focus during my first month as NASH Region 1 Director was to take advantage of those opportunities and strange NASH presence in Puerto Rico. And so we reached that goal of the creation of the professional chapter of the NASH members in the island. And once I reached that goal, I focused my work on evaluating some candidates for the local board of directors. And after several weeks, I finally found the right candidates who accept the challenge to lead with me the creation of a solid foundation for the chapter and outline the next steps. The members of the local board are Israel Rodriguez Sanchez as a president, Amari Santiago as vice president, Ayesa Diaz as secretary, and Jose Carlos Sanchez as a treasurer. Although my initial plans were to hold a small face-to-face event to introduce the new board to the active members of the Puerto Rico Pro Chapter, unfortunately, the new spike in COVID-19 infections forced a change in plans. So in early January 2022, I met with the board and we discussed the agenda that we will be focused on for the next six months. And over the past few weeks, we have moved very quickly. After the creation of the official email of the professional chapter, I sent an email to all the regular academics and student members to inform them about the on the local board, and the response was very the response of all the members and colleagues in general has been excellent. We also used the email to promote the training on climate change and the emerging stories of 2022, which take place on a Thursday. And where one of the panelists was the meteorologist Adam Monson, a member of our professional chapter. And that same day, we released of the Puerto Rico first chapter on Twitter, with a great response. Until this morning, we reached 100 followers, and we
Oh, no, I think he froze just a little bit. There he is.
do you hear me?
Yes, you froze for just a little bit, David, but you're back.
All right, great. So on Twitter, the Puerto Rico chapter, we already have more than 100 followers, a local board, and share important updates about the trainings. And also the Adam and Son share a video of her inviting the member to the training, and that helped us a lot. That help us on that first day with the Twitter profile to reach more followers. And in the next weeks, we also be creating the official accounts on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. We also have a friend, a graphic designer, that help us voluntarily to edit a little bit the logo, to add the Puerto Rico identity on that logo. And among the plans of the local board in the coming month is to carry out at least 2 training sessions, one on the use of social media for journalists and another on responsible coverage of gender-based violence. We'll also be creating a survey to find out the main concerns of our members, particular interests, and what topics they would like to address in future workshops. Our main objective is to increase the number of professional members, for which we discussed several strategies that will be begin to implement. We are also talking directly to colleagues, and we are already growing on members. The Puerto Rico First Chapter has around 55 regular and for academics members, and we also have around 112 members on 4 student chapters. So one of the strategies is aimed at university graduations candidates to achieve an immediate transition to the professional chapter. We also have on the agenda to launch a campaign on the benefit of be part of NASH, the opportunities at the national level, the scholarships available, and all the activities and workshops to which members have access. I also want to share with you that we are currently facing a court situation that is taking place right now in Puerto Rico, which goes against the freedom of the press and the confidentiality of journalistic sources. And I will keep you informed about that situation. I already sent an email to Nara and some members to have a conversation about that. And also, as director, the coming weeks, I also plan to meet with the student chapters to develop a closer relationship and collaboration. I will also like to develop a closer relationship in the Virgin Islands. So I will be looking into Hispanic colleagues who work and live there. And on the same way, I will focus more on our colleagues in Mexico, especially considering the terrible wave of wonders of journalism.
Okay, looks like David has an unstable connection and he's frozen. So,
And our colleagues in Mexico deserve our. That's all.
okay, thank you, David. We lost you a little bit in that last part, but I know that you were expressing concern for the members in Mexico. Which, by the way, just for clarification, David represents Region 1, which includes Puerto Rico, Mexico, and the Virgin Islands. And yes, David, we got your request, and the rapid response team is formulating a statement as you requested. So
Thank you so much.
thank you.
I had a question in the chat. Was it 112 members, David, that are in Region 1 right now?
The students there are around 112 members on 4 student chapters.
Okay, thank you. If there's no further questions, moving on to Region 2 Director, Jamie Stockwell, representing Connecticut, Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New York, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Vermont.
It's very cold here. we have many inches of snow today, although New England is getting pummeled and with like cyclone winds. So thank you guys. Again, I'm Jamie. I am happy to tell you that, you know, the New England chapter had a virtual cafecito before the holidays. It was very well attended. It was a good chance for people to see each other virtually before the busy season. They also just recently awarded a $2,500 scholarship to a University of Connecticut senior, whose name is Gladys Suero, double majoring in journalism and communications, and then also double minoring in Latino studies and diversity studies and American culture. And this money is going to really help them go, you know, forth with their dreams of reporting on marginalized communities. This is a scholarship that was created in 2016 by Hugo Balta, who's a former president of NAHJ. It's called the Hortensia Zavala Scholarship in honor of his grandmother, Hortensia Zavala. And a little bit about the student, because it's just a really exciting opportunity for them. They're the first in their family to attend college, and they have a 4.0 GPA. And they're very interested in the intersection of journalism and social justice, and currently interning at the St. Vincent de Paul mission in Waterbury, which is the largest homeless shelter in the state of Connecticut. I am hoping to organize some in-person meetings with those who are in the New York and New Jersey chapters, hopefully soon. I really wanted to do it before the holidays, and then Omicron came and just kind of tore through this region. It has begun to crest and wane, and hopefully we can start to do that in the next month or so. I'm also going to be reaching out. I had a really great session last year with the student chapter in New York, and I want to do that again very soon. I made myself available last year for one-on-one sessions and got to speak to some really ambitious and interesting students. I want to do that again this year as they're charting their journalistic careers and beginning to apply for internships this summer. And then also soon, I'm going to be going through some training with other regional directors so that we can better assist chapters, our local chapters, with their social media accounts, help keep them fresh, spotlight the great work that the members are doing. And by the time we meet next time, I hope to have also met with all of the chapter boards so that I can know how better I can help and advocate for them. So a little bit of a shorter presentation, but those are the highlights.
Thank you, Jamie. Any questions?
I'm sorry, did I not say New England chapter for the scholarship?
I heard you say New England, yes.
I thought I did, yes. But yeah, it was really great work. Thanks for posting that that press release. You beat me to it. And please read about Gladys. I think it's a super impressive student.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. We'll move on to Region 3, representing Delaware, Kentucky, Maryland, Pennsylvania, Virginia, DC, and West Virginia. Melissa Macaya.
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much to our members joining. I see some of my chapter leaders on the call and members from the region, so thank you for being here today. It's cold here too, not as much as snow as Jamie, but we're staying warm, we're bundling up. So I will give an overview of where things stand in Region 3, and I'll try to keep it brief on just giving a snapshot of what our chapters have been planning and working as they look ahead into the new year. So in my region, I have 2 active professional chapters in DC and Philadelphia, and then we have 3 student chapters in the region, 2 of which are in DC or the DC area, and 1 of which is in Virginia Tech, which is our most recent chapter. Our most recent membership report showed that we have more than 700, forgive me, members who have selected Region 3 as their chapter. A lot of those members, or several of those members' memberships have lapsed in the new year. So I'm working really closely with our chapter leaders and our members on the ground to make sure that we remind folks to renew their membership, as was noted in the chat this morning, really making sure that our members are not only engaged, but are remembering to renew their membership is so key to continuing to grow as a region and as an organization. So right now we have about 400 members who have their membership still activated. And then, as I said, we're working closely to make sure that those folks whose memberships lapse, that they get it up to speed, especially ahead of the convention. I'm really proud of the work that our chapters have been doing given COVID, given Omicron, and the challenges of this past year. So I will give a bit of an overview of what our chapters have been doing now. I'll get started with the DC chapter. We have nearly 200 members in the DC area who mark DC as their chapter. I was on a board call meeting with them earlier this month, and they've just been doing some really great work and getting ready for the new year, including hosting the Washington Job Fair. As you know, I've shared the job fair quite a bit in my reports. They had to postpone it the last 2 years due to COVID. This is a big event that they put on with the other journalism groups in the area, including the DC chapter of NEBJ and the Asian American Journalists Group, SBJ, and other groups. There really wasn't an event of this nature for journalists of color in DC. So they've hosted it for several years now, and they're really excited to get it back in the DC area for 2022. So they're working to get that together for the spring. So that'll be a really exciting event as we continue to get more Latinos in newsrooms in DC and beyond. They are also working to do an event with the News Literacy Project to host an event with middle and high school students in the DC area. So that is in the works. They also continue their efforts to do events with Congress and growing the relationships with the White House to make sure that we are well represented and have a seat at the table there. And they also are looking to partner with our National Board on Advocacy efforts, especially ahead of the midterm elections, which are right around the corner, to make sure that our Latino journalists have the support and the representation that they need as they cover that big event. The chapter also continues to engage with international journalists in the DC area. As you know, there's a lot of bureaus and international organizations that are based out of DC, so they continue to increase their outreach there. They also are working to have their Charlie Erickson supplement for the spring. This is a supplement that pretty much serves as a support for interns, Latino interns who are coming to DC. As you know, it's very expensive to intern in DC and a lot of these major cities. So it helps support their transportation and their housing fees. So they offer that supplement for the spring, summer, and fall. So they're opening applicants for the spring, and we'll have one in the summer session as well. And then I'll lastly say that they're also getting ready for their Noche de Periodistas fundraiser. This is a big fundraiser that the chapter puts together every year in the summer, where they raise funds for the scholarship program and also for other supports that they can give the members ahead of the convention, any assistance. And then lastly, I'll say that our Student Outreach Committee Chair, Priscila Alvarez, has been doing a really good job of continuing to support the DC chapters in the region. Some of those chapters, because students have graduated, haven't been on campus due to COVID, haven't been as active in the last year or so. So we're working really closely to make sure that they're hitting the ground running again in both American University and Maryland University. And then I'll briefly go to Philly, the Philly chapter, who's also is a fairly new chapter. They launched in 2020. January 2020, right before the pandemic hit. And despite the pandemic, they've been doing some incredible work. They have nearly 50 individuals that list Philly as their chapter. They have built some really great relationships with the other journalism groups in the city, including NABJ. They've been hosting virtual events in the fall and also in the new year. They had a in-person mixer in October, and then the board members attended the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists Awards in November, and have really looked to continue to build those relationships in the city. They also are very active on social media. If you've noticed and followed them, they're always posting the scholarship opportunities on the national level and events on the national level. So they've been a really great source to make sure that we're sharing those opportunities in Philly and beyond. And then lastly, I just will give another shout out to our Virginia Tech chapter that's led by student Brian Zapata. He's been doing a really great job. Hasn't been easy to start a chapter on campus in a pandemic. And they've really been doing some really great work on campus and virtually at a university that's primarily a science-based university, lots of engineering students. And he's found a really passionate group of journalism students or individuals who are interested in doing journalism or covering, tech and science issues that, as we know, we need more Latinos in. So he's been doing a really great job there. We did an event with them alongside the DC chapter in the fall, and we're looking to continue to engage with them in the spring. And I think that's what I have for now. Happy to answer any questions. For those DC chapter members or Philly chapter members that are on the call, or maybe you're in the area or know people that are in the area that aren't engaged with our chapter, just really encourage you to invite them to join our activities on the ground. And really encourage you as well to please continue to share the events that are happening in the region.
Thank you, Melissa. That was a lot. Lots of good work there happening in Region 3. Region 4, Elwyn Lopez could not join us. She's on assignment covering the bridge collapse. But that region represents Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Mississippi, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Tennessee. So we move on to Region 5, covering Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Nanette?
Hi there, good morning, good afternoon. I'm over at the University of Arkansas, which is in the northwest corner of the state. And I'm so grateful to you. It was Yaneth who sent the membership list. So I do have a current list of who's in and who I can reach out to increase this membership. I mentioned to her my interest is going towards social media, especially because of the pandemic. It's really difficult to organize anything with, I barely get students on campus, even though we are on campus. So that said, I have actually worked with 3 students one-on-one, and they've all enrolled in AHJ, and I was so thrilled. So with them and starting there, my goal is I would like to create a student NAHJ beginning at the University of Arkansas, and in Arkansas, the Northwest Arkansas portion, because that campus has reciprocating agreements for students to have in-state tuition with the state of Texas and the state of Louisiana, which if I can just get through to Arkansas, who is very pro SPJ and not NAHJ, sadly, because their thought is, well, we already have one professional journalism program that everyone can belong to. So that's kind of, I'm stuck right there. So if anybody has suggestions or how I reach out or create this importance to have an NAH chapter, so the Latino students have a sense of belonging, and that's part of the problem at that university, in my opinion, is students don't get involved. A, they don't know about the opportunity, and B, they just don't get any attention when it comes to cultural interests that they have, because that university, if you're not a hog, you're a nobody in a sense, speaking of the mascot. But I'm working on that underground foundation. I also want to make it my commitment, and Nora, you can hold my feet to the fire on this, with our Facebook account. There are only 462 on that Facebook for Region 5. I think it's ridiculously low. If you had to spread it out, that's about 100 people per state. And my effort is to make that work. I'm also working with La Prensa, NWA, Northwest Arkansas, and that's their editor there is Brabinda. She's active in NAHJ. I'd mentored her when she was an undergrad student, so now she's editor over there at La Prensa. NWA. So between working with her, working with some undergraduate students to have a little bit more of a voice, that's my direction. That's what I have to offer. And I really want to thank the Texas chapters over there in Austin and Houston and Dallas, Fort Worth and so forth. They've been just wonderful. I keep in contact, with just a couple of them, and they're really wonderful in staying keeping it going. And again, I truly thought this pandemic would be over by now, and it's not. So here we continue. I'll gladly answer any other questions, and I really try to give a big effort to NAHJ, but as like all of us working and etc., I have 7 classes that I teach at the university, along with 5 other students that I'm mentoring to get their research papers done. And every time I see a Hispanic last name or something, I'm like, hey, by the way, and to bring them in. So I'm determined to make it work over there for Arkansas and Texas, of course, and Louisiana and Oklahoma there. And that's my chapter report. And my goal is to increase membership.
Thanks, Nanette. Yeah, once we get off this meeting or just over the next week, feel free to reach out to me and to
Thank you,
Yana
Laura.
so that we can give you some help in getting that student chapter going.
And Nora, one other reason to get this going quicker rather than later, the chair to the journalism department has been there 27 years and is leaving at the end of December. I don't know who's taking over, but I'd rather get it done while he's there because we have a really cohesive relationship in getting things started and goals. So if the goal is before December of 20, right now at the end. Thank you.
Okay.
Nora, do you have time for a quick question?
Sure.
Nanette, I just wanted to ask you, are there any financial barriers to the students joining NAHJ? Has that come up as an issue? I just want to understand any obstacles that.
No, it's not financial. As a matter of fact, more than 471 students under the CARES Act, their tuition is paid for 4 years. So the finances is not the question. And even when I spoke to the new 3 that joined, I asked that flat out, and they're like, oh, no, I have $60,000 for the 4 years. I'm like, whoa, okay.
I'm paying the membership fee for NAHJ. So like you had mentioned SBJ, and sometimes because there are so many fees to joining so many different organizations, that can be a barrier. So I don't know if that's come up, but maybe we can discuss that further. If barrier to
it's more not knowing about NAHJ. It's more that like, oh, it exists. That's the situation. They know, I think AABJ is on campus. I'm pretty sure. And there's a big push for diversity because the University of Arkansas got dinged by the higher ups for lack of diversity. So because of that, I'm sure we can get the paperwork going and get this rolling for that because the University of Arkansas lacks diversity, bottom line.
Yeah, no, I like your idea of providing services like in terms of how to cover and report through a culturally sensitive lens. Helping students to do that, I think will provide them with something tangible. So we can, work on that and come up with a plan.
Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. We can help. We can come up with ways to help them pay for the dues, but also just, to share with them the information about what it is we do and why it's valuable for them to be a part of our group as well. For what it's worth, I'm a member of both SBJ and NAHJ as well, and I'm active with the local chapter of SBJ too. And I just believe strongly in helping students to help give them those opportunities to local scholarships so that they can go to school. Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay.
Right. If there's no other questions, we will move on to, we already heard from Region 6, Valerie, who, by the way, represents the entire Midwest, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. So I was asked earlier to identify the regions. We'll move on to Region 7, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Utah. And I'm really excited to hear from Johnny because I think he's going to tell us some good news about what's going on in Nevada, who is hosting our conference. Johnny.
Thank you. Yes, thank you so much for.
I wanted to say, take it away, Johnny.
Thank you.
Why.
El show de Johnny Canales.
Exactly.
Es el show de Johnny Córdoba. So,
You look great, by the way.
Huh?
You look great. I don't know if
thank
it's
you.
the beard.
Thank you. It's the cold weather in Arizona, just like in Florida. We're freezing, but yeah, I did like a quick bullet points. This month has really tough because finally after 2 years I got coronavirus, so I'm still kind of recovering. If you hear me cough or if you hear dogs, please let me just excuse that beforehand. So I'm currently at Univision Arizona and also with Conecta Arizona Radio. So again, I've been working 6 days a week. So what we have here to report basically in October, at ASU, they got a new dean for the School of Journalism. So I was able to attend in October 28th, the Dean's Open House. It was an informal meeting. And basically I got to have a one-on-one, very brief chat to basically introduce myself and see how we can, I guess, collaborate with him and his new plan, which is called Cronkite 2.0. So we are supposed to meet again this year, but of course, right now I'm still trying to stay away because of the COVID. I'm not saying in quarantine because I'm already over it, but I'm still trying to avoid one-on-one. So I'm still working from home. Then in December, we had the last meeting of ALMA, which is the Arizona Latino Media Association. That was the last meeting for the year. This was a good opportunity again to network. We have just a lot of independent journalists and also a lot of journalists who are retiring, which has been, or getting out of the field, which has been an issue in the sense of the networking that sometimes we make in the region. So with them, we were, of course, working on the spring scholarships at that point in time in December with spring scholarships, the internships, and the jobs for those entering the workforce. And then this is really the good news. We are working in the formation of the NHJ Nevada chapter. I will be submitting today the Nevada chapter application. And I really want to thank Claudia Cruz, and I know Nora basically touched upon all her credentials. She has been really the catalyst for this project, as well as Janet Guillen, who has helped kind of steer the project. This would be the second chapter that I've been able to help launch, but really the kudos go to everyone who's doing the work, like Claudia and Janet. And then the last time it was the one for the U Arizona in Tucson. So the kudos I always say to the people who are actually on the ground, you know, getting the signatures and doing all the legwork. But I am always happy to provide my support. So at last count, I believe we had more than 350 members for this region. I've been recently doing a big push on the MMJ security. We have a consultant firms, especially now that I'm at Univision. I know they used to have one also when I worked at Telemundo, Arizona, for advocating for more help for the MMJs, and also so that MMJs can say no when they don't feel safe, and they can do their job in a safe manner. So I've been advocating a lot for that, especially in this area because we have a lot of MMJs. And then with the last list I received in December from all the members, I've been kind of looking at the list because I know a lot of, like I said, a lot of people are no longer members, no longer in the field, or they have moved to other regions. So I'm basically doing the same thing that I did, I think it was a year and a half ago, when we were trying to recruit more members and kind of contacting each one and emailing them if there's an email or a phone number, just to see if they are still in the field, if they are still members, and if they're not, trying to convince them to come back. And then there's been a lot of changes here, especially in the Phoenix market. There's a new VP of News that will be taking over at Telemundo, Arizona recently, or shortly, I mean. So I'm hoping to reach out to him to see how we can, again, collaborate with Telemundo. And then I get a lot of students from the Cronkite, especially international students, asking for help as to how they can, this is via LinkedIn, how they can get internships or how they can come from Mexico. So I usually provide that type of information, and the usual, that they should have a strong resume and also take advantage of their time at the Cronkite, so that they can have a lot of good work on their video resume, and also to take advantage of all the internships before they graduate, which is really the way I did it. So. And then for those, I always say that for the changes and everything that's happening here, you can all see it on Media Moves, because I know that that Veronica usually is very up to date with what's happening here. I know recently there was an announcement that now ASU Cronkite is going to be working with NBCU, which is the university side, that they are kind of recruiting students from the different universities. Again, like I said, the new news director that's coming from Utah to Telemundo, Arizona, who was here previously, and the previous news director who's going to San Diego. So there's a lot of moves, and of course, Valeria Fernandez is from here, from Phoenix, and she's now Palabra. So a lot of what do you call movers and shakers. But I'm trying to reach out to everybody just to kind of see how we can have more of a united front, again, because the issue for me is usually, again, that we have a large region, and trying to incorporate that into the one as a whole. But I know there's we're going to be getting some sort of a training for the Facebook pages, and I think that'll help a lot, so that we can kind of also generate our own news within the region. And that's basically what I have. So I'll be sending that Nevada chapter application, so that we can, and I'll send this as soon as I'm done. I'll send that out so that we can talk about it, hopefully in executive session or in this session. And that's it. Thank you.
Actually, thank you, Johnny. But actually, I think in staff, Yanis can help me out, but I think we're ready to approve the chapter. Are we not, Yanis?
Yeah, yes. Johnny has the full package if you want to
Yes,
call.
I'll send it right now.
If you want to.
I just wanted to include it in my report so that I could send it out.
I'm sorry?
Should we wait for when we do new business for that, or does that happen now?
I think he can do it as part of his report. That's how we did it the last time
Okay.
we had our meetings, because I think that's how David did it when we created the PR chapter, and then previously the other chapters, we've done them during the regional director report. So I'm ready to entertain a motion from Johnny on the Nevada NHJ chapter.
Okay, so I make a motion so that we can approve the Nevada chapter, which right now will be based in Reno.
I second.
All right, we have a motion to approve the Nevada chapter just in time for our conference. Is there any discussion? All right, I don't think we need a roll call on this. I think we just vote by acclamation. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposition? Excellent. The motion carries and we have a Nevada chapter. Congratulations, Johnny, and thanks to Claudia Cruz,
Yeah,
who
thank
I know
you.
had been
Claudia and
spearheading
Janet
that.
yes, Janet and Claudia, who have been helping me a lot with this.
Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, we move on to our Region 8, last but certainly not the least, representing, just another huge swath of region: Alaska, California, Hawaii, Idaho, Oregon, and Washington. Christy Fajardo. ¿Cómo estás, Christy?
Muy bien, gracias. Hello, everybody. So there are 4 professional chapters in my region. So I'm just going to give highlights because we'll be here for a while if I said everything they're doing. The Northwest chapter just got a donation of $3,200 from the Hispanic Media Association. They also just held a virtual event on mental health. The Bay Area, I apologize to the people in the Bay Area. The president and I have been playing phone tag, so I haven't gotten a complete update on everything that they're doing, but I know they're very excited about San Francisco State launching a bilingual journalism program. In Los Angeles, they're continuing to hold events. They just held a virtual panel on using newsroom tools. They're also holding a fundraiser for scholarships, and they're holding an NHJ membership giveaway to freelancers or journalists who are unemployed. San Diego, Tijuana has been very, very busy. They have a big concern, obviously, with members' safety, especially those who work in Mexico. But even members who work in San Diego often have to go to Tijuana to cover stories. So they wanted me to bring that up. They have a newsletter. They're just launched that. They're also promoting members. They have a member spotlight to help promote members' work. They have an incredible website. I don't know if you guys have checked it out, but it's beautiful. I'm hoping they can help some of the other chapters with that. They're in the process of putting together a mixer with NABJ, and they're also holding a FOIA PRA workshop coming up. And they're doing a lot of good work. Security, also the MMJ issue is a big issue in my region as well. I've heard from many members. It's even happening in large markets like Los Angeles. And so that continues to be a concern. I'm hoping that at some point, all of the chapters will hold a virtual meeting together so we can discuss these things and also get to know each other. Omicron still raging here in the LA area, so that's put a damper on in-person events. So everyone's just doing the best they can during the pandemic. That's all I've got.
Hey, Christy, I got a question about the membership drive, or do you all need donations, and do you know if that chapter has like a donation link or is looking to raise funds for that?
I don't know that they have a link yet, but I'm sure that they would appreciate any help with that.
Well, do let us know when that is live, or if there's a place where we can either Venmo or do something to help drive that membership drive forward.
Will do. Thank you.
Nora, you're muted
Sorry,
again.
you're on mute.
Occasionally I've got the neighbor's dogs going crazy in the background, so I try to mute it too. Then you forget. Thank you, Christy, for that report. Appreciate it. We move on to old business, where we'll hear from our committee and task forces and hear what they've been up to. I'm probably going to take it a little bit out of order and save Yvette on the strategic planning for last, just because I anticipate that that's where we might have more questions to respond to. So going to kick it off with Keldy, who will tell us about the work of the Afro-Latino Task Force.
All right, so essentially, right now we still take applications for the Ada Lourdes Virgo Vigo Afro-Latino Scholarship. Do pass that around to students so we can get as many people applying for that as possible. I really want to thank David Casares, Yvonne Lottie, Aisha, a Muslim, Will Cruz, and Yvonne Lottie for helping me with this. It's really been, I definitely appreciate all of them helping me with this and be able to come off with some ideas. I think what we would like to do next is, come up with some type of panel in coordination with NABJ for the conference. I think we're still trying to figure that out, and I'm working hopefully with BA on that. And I think we're trying to figure out, sorry, I had it here. Trying to figure out what we're going to do with some money that we received from Gannett. It was about $5,000. So we're trying to finalize what we'll do with that. So hopefully analysis in regards to that in the near future. And lastly, similar to I know that there's a survey going around about what the vision for NHA, what members would like to see for the vision for NHA. I think at the task force, we would like to at least put out a survey to at least figure out how many Afro-Latinos are there within NHA. I feel like getting a survey out there at least to try to at least quantify how many we have, because I don't know if we've done one. We've done one, but I think it's been a couple of years. So I feel like it would make sense to do it, and it would probably be like 2 or 3 questions. So be on the lookout for that. But I think that's all I have to report at this point in time.
Okay, thank you, Keldy. We'll move on to the Investigative and Data Journalism Task Force that's being headed up by McNally and Yvette.
I guess, Yvette, you want me to just go over the stuff that we are doing?
Yes, if you want to cover what your subcommittee is doing, I can give an update on the management subcommittee.
Yeah, last year, the subcommittee that I'm overseeing, and also Christy is part of that. We held a few workshops for our members, and now what we are doing is preparing some panels and also working with IRE to sort of kind of build several panels and hands-on sessions for the conference geared out to investigative reporting, data, and everything that it has to do with investigative reporting. So those are the efforts that we are taking right now. with some of the members, and I have even another member who's gonna try and get some sessions on writing, writing workshop, and trying to grab some good teachers from NABJ. I don't want to say names, they haven't said yes yet, and NASJ, so we can have this really nice balance of our members and all this talent, because we have so much talent, we have to use it. So that's my goal for this subcommittee in the next few months, is to prepare a really good, strong curriculum for the conference, to provide investigative tools and hands-on sessions, so the members can go back home and use all that for the work. You don't need to be an IT team to use these tools. That's one of the big things that we want to make sure that our members understand, that these tools are very important for you to do your job. So
thanks. So on the, I'm overseeing the subcommittee that's focusing on management issues tied to the lack of diversity on investigative teams. And one of the things that we heard from the feedback from the larger task force is that the needle's not going to move until we have Latinos in leadership positions on these investigative teams. And so one of the things that the management subcommittee has been working on this fall and winter is meeting with the investigative teams at newspapers across the country. So we formed a working group within the subcommittee. The working group includes not just NHJ members, it includes members from our allied journalism organizations, such as NABJ and AJA. We went through prep sessions to prepare for the meetings that we were going to have with these newsrooms. And then we started having those meetings in December, and they've continued into January. We've met with the Center for Public Integrity, with the Associated Press, with the Los Angeles Times, and with NBC. And we announced all of this on Twitter. These meetings are not off the record, they're on background, but we wanted to give these leaders a chance to speak to us openly, but also tap this information and share it. Ultimately, we are asking them to fill out a survey that we've created in conjunction with the academic subcommittee that's part of the task force. And we are asking them to fill that out. And ultimately, the goal is for the academic subcommittee to create like a white paper and use this information to hold these organizations accountable. It's for some organizations that are making progress and have concrete ideas and work underway. Those conversations have been very positive. Some of the other organizations have a lot of work to do. And so part of the goal is not just to have these meetings once. We are offering to meet with them on a quarterly basis so that we can come back and revisit some of the issues that are coming up. And so this is a learning process for us, for them. We're offering NAHJ as a resource. We are working in conjunction with our allies, because we believe in the power of all of these organizations really putting pressure so that it's not something, because we all know that there's a lack of diversity on these investigative teams, but until we put pressure on them in this way, by yearly announcing the numbers and showing that lack of diversity through data, that we're really not going to move that needle until we do that. So this is really about holding them accountable. So it's early on in the process. And we will report our progress as we go, but we're excited to be having these conversations, because we believe until you start talking to folks and just meeting them at the table, that really progress can't be made until you do that. So we're excited to be at this point, but a lot of work to come this coming year.
Let me chime in on that, on the survey. We hope that we'll be able to announce the result of this survey as we collect the data. Possibly, I already awards luncheon and also during our conference. I think that will be by the time that we have our conference in August of this year, we are probably gonna have accumulated this amass data that we can report to our members because I am over talking about diversity. I want to see results. I am all about having results. And we just have to push it, and creating a coalition is the best way. And we are going to continue to build on this coalition. We're not done.
Wonderful. It's some really important work that task force is doing. Thank you both for your leadership on that. And I know Jessica is a part of that as the academic officer as well. McNelly, since you had the floor, anything you need to report to us or want to report to us as at-large officer?
No, I mean, my work has been divided in several fronts. Several fronts between the rapid response team, which I love doing that work, and we've been very busy with that. And the task force, where I sit in all these subcommittees, and sitting on these meetings, and it's just very time consuming. But I think that we are at a critical moment in our country, and with this organization, that we can make such a mark and just advocate for our members and all journalists of color. I am passionate about, it's not only about Latinos, yes, but it's about all of us together, working together to make this effort, because I've seen every day what happens when there are not people of color covering stories. And I have so many examples, and I am planning to use these examples as we move and meet with these editors to show them this is what happens when you don't have people of color doing these stories, the danger, and we already seen it all the time, right? So that's basically my report, and then I'll comment later on the item on Facebook that I want to comment on that.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to hear from Jessica Redis, our academic officer.
Thank you. Greetings from Tucson. It's not a call, Johnny. Before I start my report, I would like to ask NAJ members to please send us information about journalism schools, like the one that Nina just shared, as I always address the lack of representation of Latinos in news starts in J schools, which is why we're working on the projects that I'm about to briefly report about. And it's also tied to the great job that Leslie Ann is doing with the Next Gen and our student reps. We have the current and former reps here, Jorge Flores and Luis Joel, and also supporting what the investigative data journalism folks is doing. This is all for good, right? Okay, briefly, NAJ Academic Task Force I'm not working by myself. I have a group of academics that are working with me as well. Amar Aguilar, Alejandro Alvarado, Cita Rocha, Laura Castañeda, Lourdes Covachacón, Elio Leturia, Melita Garza, Federico Suberbi, y Mercedes Vigón. And communication team, we keep sending newsletter. We have the Facebook group where we share information about also hiring and job opportunities for academics. Student professor liaisons, we are getting ready to judge student applications, right, that are due in February. I know Leslie Ann and oh my gosh, student rep. I'm so used to Luis Joel. Jorge, thank you. And Jorge are doing a great job on social media, trying to encourage the students. They always wait until the very last moment. I can't wait to see how many letters of recommendation I get the night before the deadline. So I need to write all the letters. That's as always, every year. They are due in February. For the training and workshops, we are organizing February 22nd at 9 a.m. Mountain Time, a panel on a toolkit for quoting immigrant sources with Liz Robbins from Define America and the NHJ chapter from Columbia Journalism School. Thank you, Janet, Junwin, and our staff. They are pretty busy and they jump into this. So thank you so much. We have an excellent staff. It's always lovely to see how much they're willing to help any initiative that we put in the play, right? I've been sending frequent emails encouraging academic members to submit their proposals for the academic task force for the NHA conference. I hope when we review the proposals, we see them, because if you don't submit your proposals, we cannot work with them, right? So please send your, if we have any academic member here, please submit your proposals. And research, as I want to report on the 2 topics that we're working in. We're working on the directory, NHA academic directory. I have sent several emails requesting our academic members to fill out an online form. We got a good response. We're still pushing, but we decided to close as soon as possible because we want to work on preparing a report for the board on the state of our academic membership. We're also working on mapping Latinx in J schools. We're working with our own databases on journalism, communication, and media educators, with AJMC about the information on Latinx educators. I'm trying to run here. I don't want to see more minutes. Working also with public information about HSI schools and also accredited schools. We're closing the data gathering and start working on the report. We hope to have it ready before any, well, we will have the report ready for the NHA conference so we can present by them. Our goal for next steps when we have all these reports is to meet with J school director also to discuss the recruiting, hiring, and retention of Latino educators. This is very important, retention. We have problem of retention of students, Latinx students, and Latinx educators as well. So for us, it's very, it's essential, right? That faculty reflects the student body. As you all know, the student body of journalism schools, as in general, in different colleges, community colleges, and four-year colleges, it's becoming more Latinx, the student body. And the last news that I wanted to share with that is on February 3rd, we're organizing an event with the university here in my University of Arizona to discuss about the recent Gov report. Our own Arelis Hernandez will present on behalf of NHA, along with NALIP, NHMC representatives. The title of the event is The Missing Part of the Narrative, Hispanics in the US Media Industry. I'm gonna put the link on the chat in case you want to register and attend the meeting. We're gonna have Representative Joaquin Castro presenting that, and then after his brief presentation and Q&A, we're going to have the panel with Latinx organizations to discuss this situation. That's all for now. Thank you.
Thanks. Yes, please don't forget to put the link. That's going to be a good conversation. Thank you. And this dovetails nicely into our student rep, Jorge Flores. Hi, Jorge, welcome.
Hello, thank you, Nora. It's a pleasure seeing you all. I'm so glad to hear all those excellent news from every single part and section of the organization. For my part, I'm really glad to present that as the student rep, the creation of the student committee last semester was just great for us to continue making that sense of community throughout the regions. So I continued that process and also enlarging it as with different parts or sections of the student committee, from events to social media to actually getting like an editor team for a annual report that we want to present as well. So glad that we have 3 events that we just did for the past months. We created as well these cafecito times in order for us to connect with the students. So monthly, every single month, at least one Saturday of every month, we're having these cafecitos to connect with their students, to get to know them, their concerns, and just a time for them to connect with their students as a networking opportunity. We've been having students even from El Salvador, from Puerto Rico, from different parts of Latin America, and they're very interested in becoming part of NHA, or at least to support our panels and events that we're having on. So up to this moment, we had already 2 cafecitos and one the NHA 101 workshop, trying to promote and trying to encourage more students to apply for the opportunities that we're offering. And thankfully, we received a good amount of people showing up. And over these 3 events, we had almost 60 people coming up from different parts of the country and the regions that we cover. So I'm glad for that. I understand that it's a step by step, but it's about consistency. So we're getting that consistency through the student committee. So in which I'm very glad that we have students, part of members of the student committee from Chicago, from Albuquerque, California. So that's something that I'm really proud of. And continuing, we're planning on getting also a panel related to the representation and how it matters. So I'm looking forward to collaborate with the task force for the Afro-Latino and hopefully getting a panel sometime soon, trying to get it approved and talk and to brainstorm about it, since we are looking forward for it to be like soon, like hopefully this month, hopefully next month on February. So that will be from my part. And finally, that we're also brainstorming already for the annual report that I'm going to share with you all on the last meeting that we're going to have on that semester, just to show some of the student committee's efforts, but also concerns from students and hopefully proposals for the next student rep in the future.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any questions for Jorge? Okay.
I just want to mention, Nora, if I can, that these students reps are doing a great job. The former student, this student, oh my gosh. And I work with students. I have been working with journalism students for 30 years. So they're great. Good job.
They're our future. Thank you so much. Let's hear from our Spanish at Large officer, Jenny.
Hi, hello everybody. It's amazing to see so many people gathering here. I'll keep it briefly because with the Spanish at Large, I've just been hearing a lot from a lot of the members that are working in Spanish media and trying to reach out individually with their specific concerns. Being part of the rapid response team, we've been able to then stream that there to be able to react as NHA as a whole. But I just want to, as always, mention to all our members that we are just a click away to please reach out to us whenever you have a situation in your particular newsrooms. I know that at least for Spanish media journalists, one of the things that I've been hearing a lot is the fact that, especially when they work in duopolies or in newsrooms, it happens to me in my newsroom where I'm one of the few, if not the only bilingual person. And then in addition to doing our job, we are also serving as translators, even to other journalists, not only to our own job. For example, I do my work twice because I have to do it in Spanish and then I have to translate it to English, and I don't get paid double for that. And that's something that I'm hearing all across the board. So I want to hear from all the Spanish journalists out there. How are the situations in your newsroom? What are your main concerns? So we can kind of start streamlining all this and see how we can help as NHA as a whole. Other than that, I want to say that I am extremely happy. I might be biased because I'm Puerto Rican, so I'm extremely happy that we finally have a professional chapter in Puerto Rico. I was under no chapter for the beginning of my professional career, actually, while I was a member of NHA, and there wasn't a professional chapter. So as soon as I got the Spanish at Large position, one of the first things that I started working at was reaching out to many journalists in Puerto Rico to see if we could get a Region 1 director there. And I'm extremely happy that David was available and interested in that position. And I'm so impressed about the work he's been able to do there, already getting that professional chapter up and running. So David, you know that whatever I can help out with in terms of your region and with the chapter in Puerto Rico, I'm more than available. And I want to start getting together with the different region directors to see how we can start working closely with the chapters too, because I know that many of the local chapters have reached out saying that sometimes they don't know whether something is particularly for Spanish or whom they should reach out to. So if I can start helping out the region directors with their Spanish journalists as well, then I would love to do that. And Jessica, with your bilingual program as well. So I'll drop my email and my Twitter. I'm just a click away. So whatever we can do to help, we're here to help.
Gracias, Jenny, who, by the way, has a lovely singing voice too, and her TikToks. If you don't follow her on TikTok, you should.
Nora,
Yes,
if I
Jessica,
may,
you have a question?
yes, just a comment for Jennifer. I just put in the chat, Jennifer, let's work together and organize a panel of discussion about bilingual journalism in newsrooms. We might can work together in an NAJ manifesto, right? So, because if you translate, whether you want or not, this is a paid job. You have a skill, and then let's talk.
Yeah, no, whatever I can do to help. Viscon was one of my professors when I did my master's degree at FIU. So I am super comfortable working with her and with your entire team. So let's get in touch.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And then we'll move on to what I suspect might take us a little bit of time, but it's oh so important, getting the update on where we are with our strategic plan. Yvette?
Thanks, Nora. So like Nora mentioned earlier, the last time we had a strategic plan was 2002. So it's been a while, but as we mentioned in our October meeting, we set aside time for the board to go into a retreat to prepare for this, because we feel that we need to lay out a vision for the organization, not just for the next few years, but for the next 5 years, and to be thinking even beyond that, to help our members survive the turmoil that we've been experiencing and to succeed as journalists. So we met over 2 days in October, and this was, it was a really great opportunity for us to just step back from all the crazy busy schedules that we have and think about this. And then from there, La Piana Consulting, the firm that's helping us create this plan, helped create take that feedback and to create sort of like a blueprint that the strategic planning committee then worked on in the fall and into the winter to create an actual initial draft. So this was taking the feedback of the board members to lay out a draft that we are now going to work on getting feedback from staff. The staff currently has a copy of it, from the board, which I'm going to share with the board today, and then stakeholders, both internally within the organization and externally. And that includes, of course, our members. So I'm going to drop a couple things here in the chat box. One is my email, because we want to make sure that, you know, the group that serves as a stakeholder to review the draft, provide feedback and input is representative of our members. So if you're interested in possibly being a stakeholder and participating in that process, please email me directly. I'm also dropping the survey that we've been distributing for a while now. We initially did not get as many responses as we hoped, so we've continued promoting it. It's on our website, and we've now gotten 56 responses. So we're really happy to all of you who have taken the time to include your feedback there. A lot of it is reflected in the conversations that the board has been having around what do we focus on, both from mentoring to including more Latinos in leadership positions, and also advocacy. That was one of the things that bubbled up to the top. And so when, and just to give you a snapshot of what we're talking about, we have learned, and I have learned, you know, over these past 2 terms on the board, that there are so many issues that we can tackle as a board, but in addressing issues like, say, on the rapid response team over problems that members are having within their own stations, we've learned that NAHJ can serve a crucial role in speaking up for members who sometimes feel either that as individual members, they may not have as much of a say as, say, an organization like NAHJ has. So, so we really see it as an important role that we can step up. And, you know, we're talking about how we can do that. The strategic plan is meant to lay out a vision about priorities that we want to set. It doesn't have to delve into details, but we are discussing those details. Like when it comes to advocacy, is it something that we can harness and work with and collaborate with on our chapters with? So there's still a lot of work to do on this, and the strategic committee is going to be meeting in early February to lay out next steps. But essentially, it's going to be we're going to be in the feedback phase right now as we work on this initial draft from the stakeholders to the staff to the board. And as many of you know, we're in the process of searching for an executive director. Hopefully that will happen soon, but the idea, of course, is to have whoever is in that position to also provide feedback. The goal of the board is to introduce the strategic plan at our conference. And so we have some time between now and then to work on this. But it is important that we hear back from all of you. We want buy-in from our members. We want this plan to be set in place so that no matter who's in a leadership position on the NAHJ board, we know what direction we're headed in, and that we're all on board with the priorities that we set as an organization. So that's it in a nutshell. But happy to take questions from folks as well.
Questions for Yvette? All right, well, that's surprising. Oh, Marilyn Garritex, you have a question.
Does Marilyn need to be unmuted?
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, Yvette, thank you for all the hard work you guys have been doing. Have you given any thought to having like a town hall meeting or something? Because you're not getting a lot, I worry about just 56 is great, but we have over 4,000 members now, and it really would be great to have, more surveys to get us, going a little bit better. You guys are working so hard on it. I would hate for it to for the report to end up like the 2002 report, which had some great suggestions, but nobody followed up on them. And, I think consensus from the membership would really go a long way towards, getting things in place and financially as well. So I would recommend that as one possible suggestion. Give it the import that we think it needs.
Yes, I love that idea. We had definitely planned to discuss it at the membership meeting at the conference. But since we do have a board meeting in April, probably, right, Nora?
Late April, early May. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe what we can do is set aside some time there or do a separate town hall to get more feedback. Great idea.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you, Marilyn. That's a great suggestion. And there's time to do it ahead of our big gathering in August in Vegas.
Nora, if I might take a point of personal privilege, is that okay?
Sure.
Yeah, I know that we're now reaching past the 2-hour mark on our meeting, and there's few of you who've hung with us through all of this, but truly, especially you guys regional leaders, we need to hammer this message down through our chapters and that includes the student chapters of how important it is to be engaged. Like, we are not wizards, we are not savants when it comes to figuring out what's best for NAHJ members, and if we don't have you all engaged in that process, then it's only our ideas that get inputted into this process, and we want it to be as inclusive and as wide-ranging and as relevant as possible to the experiences of our members. So please, please, please do not hesitate, regional leaders, in communicating with your chapter leaders. And even if you're texting with another fellow NAHJ members, just drop the link to the survey, please. We need this to get out way further than what it is right now. Because if not, then we have a, hampered strategic planning process.
Mm-hmm. I don't know though. Luis our former student rep is asking, can we mandate members to fill out the survey?
Cannot. Who's doing it?
We cannot. We can simply encourage.
We can offer prizes for the first 5 people. I don't know.
Maybe
We talk
that's
about
what, that's a good idea. Maybe we can offer prizes for the first 5 people to respond. But yes, thank you, Arelis, because that really is, if we don't hear from our members, then, you know, we're operating from just, you know, this silo of the board. And we have a great board representing across, you know, different media platforms. And the fact that they're on the board means that they're willing to serve and share their ideas. But we desperately want to hear from as many members as possible. So please, please, please take the time to fill out the survey and let us know what you think our priorities should be and where we should be spending our resources. Thank you.
One other point, and it looks like Marilyn and Johnny have some questions or a point to make as well. But one thing, let me just mention as well, if you don't have time to fill out the survey, reach out to the strategic committee members, and I'll mention them all here. I'm happy to jump on the phone if you want to give feedback, you know, 10, 15 minutes, feedback on priorities you think we should include. But the other members are Nora Magnelli Torres, Chrissy Fajardo, Melissa Macaya, and Jessica Retis. So any one of those committee members, you know, can also get your feedback. So feel free to reach out. And then of course, the rest of the board members as well are here to represent you. So if it's a matter of you don't have time to fill out the survey, but want to give your feedback, we're here to take your calls. And Marilyn, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I think Yvette's idea is great. The other thing, suggestion, you can give free registrations, prizes for the conference. That seems to attract people a lot if you give them registrations for filling out the surveys in some way, shape, or form, or for even getting like a number of their colleagues to fill out the survey. Like if you get 10 colleagues to fill out the survey, you know, and then you get a free registration to the conference or something along those lines. Make it more like a campaign rather than just, we want you to fill out a survey, but, you know, sort of a campaign to help NHJ manage, you know, get its directions for the next couple of years. I think Yvette mentioned that, and I think that's a really critical way to put it to people, that they're sort of, you know, having input in the future of NHJ, not just what's happening right now, but what's happening for the next 5 to 10 years, 5 to 8 years, whatever the strategic plan is going to tackle. And I think that's really important to do it that way. And so I think if you do it more of a campaign, maybe if you even if the region directors are so busy, maybe they can designate somebody in their region to tackle it, you know, to call people and say, give us a couple, maybe a call campaign, you know, to call the members and say, give us, like you said, Yvette, give us a few ideas give us 5 minutes to, you know, answer these quick questions, and we'll take the notes down so you don't have to write it. Whatever it is, something along those lines. And I'd be willing to help out with that if you need it.
Thank you.
Johnny, before I call on you real quick, just Nanette, yes, we have various surveys going on. We have one dealing for the entire membership as it relates to our strategic plan. And then separately, there's other surveys going on as it relates to the task force, academic, professional. So yeah, it's a survey, a little bit of survey overload, but it's how we're trying to get some feedback.
And can I say something, you know, and Arelis brought a really, really good point. You know, we are not wizards. I mean, I have shared this survey all over social media, all over my networks and groups, the Latinas groups and, you know, Puerto Rican groups and you name it. And so we need help. Yeah, we need help.
We want to hear from you. Yes, Johnny.
I think you just brought it up. I was going to say, because I just copied all these links that were shared on this chat. And there seems to be a couple of surveys. One is a strategic, and the other one is for the sessions. Would it make sense? Oh, and the question then for Arelis or whoever's keeping tabs, how many people have answered it?
If you're talking about the strategic plan, it's 56 people have answered it so far.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, no, I just wanted to kind of put it in perspective as to what we're facing because I don't have those numbers, but
That's
yeah,
not a,
that's
and
that's
that-
very, yeah, that's very low. Very,
yeah,
very low.
statistically, that's not a good sample. If we have 4,000, you know, members, which we do, that's very small. That, I mean, how can we?
No, and I like Marilyn's idea. I know I can ask a couple of people who have offered to help me before, so which currently are not. I don't have them doing anything, so they might be able to help me with this.
I love the idea of doing a raffle or offering up some either prizes or free registration, a certain number of registrations to try to improve cooperation and engagement. So we'll talk about that, and everybody look for something on social media and in your inbox so that you can take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, and one more thing, just on the newsletters that we get from NHJ as members, and not even as a board member, but just as regular members. Maybe it would make good sense just to do like a bullet points where, you know, like if we have 2 surveys, just, you know, we're currently asking about this and we're currently asking about this, and that way we can also do that email as a forward. Just I try to sometimes do it one by one because I think that gives it that personal touch, even though it's more time consuming. But I think it helps more than the blast email. So.
And just to clarify one point on the surveys, the investigative survey is what the task force is distributing to newsroom leaders. So we're not asking members to fill those out unless they are an investigative editor on one of these teams. But we are asking for assistance if you, for instance, are on a team, investigative team, or, you know, work at a paper that has an investigative team and can help us distribute that and get it into the hands and make sure that those editors fill it out. That's what we're asking there with that survey. And we are, as I said in our update, as we meet with these editors, we are asking them to fill it out, and many of them are committing to it. And so we are now following up with them to gather that information for the academic subcommittee on the investigative task force.
I think you bring a good point, because that is sometimes the hardest part, is reaching the right person. There's many gatekeepers sometimes along the way, and getting that person to actually commit to doing it. I think that's the hardest part, to reach that person and having them commit to it. So yeah, I mean, I can help with that, and I can think of a couple of people who can help me out with that.
Nora, if I may, just another idea. I know that we're going long here, but you know, when we do our membership drives that have been successful, where we've sometimes dedicated a week, you know, we're getting to the convention. I wonder if we could do a strategic engagement week or a strategic survey drive, where if we were to do a town hall that week, whether it's in our next board meeting, we really dedicated a whole week for a push to make this happen, kind of like how we've done for membership drives. It could involve, you know, us all sharing, having some of our members that have large followings share there too, and just having a hashtag dedicated for this. It could be a whole, obviously BA and her team are so great at these things, but I wonder if it would be worth just doing one push of this is a week that we're dedicating to raise awareness, to get engagement. Because I think sometimes when our efforts are like, oh, here's a link, here's a survey, a reminder, it sometimes helps to kind of really do a unified front push like we do with our membership drives, especially given how big of a priority this is for our goals in the next year.
We have done some of those, but yes, probably won't hurt to do, you know, another big push like that. David, did I see your hand raised? Did you want to say something? I thought I saw your hand raised. No?
Yes, just want to add that when we talk about the strategic plan, it sounds like a very technical issue probably for the members. So we have to be very wise. Why?
Oh.
It's too bad.
I don't know. David is traveling somewhere and he keeps getting a bad connection, but maybe David, maybe you're able to put it in the chat, because your connection keeps breaking up. Cuando tengas tiempo. Ay,
Ay, bendito.
pobre.
Guys, that is Puerto Rico internet for you. When I work from there,
to
it's
ask them
crazy.
to fill out the survey, and I really like the words
Okay, somebody was suggesting,
that Aurelius, okay, yes.
there you go. Okay. Thank you. If there is, if there's no further discussion on the strategic plan, we'll move on ahead with our agenda. We're almost done here. You know, as we're heading into our conference planning, which also means, you know, looking for sponsors for the conference. We, at least one of our board members had wanted a report on what relationship and programs we have with Facebook. So we have a couple of projects that we're involved with Facebook. Both of them are about done. One is the Facebook Journalism Project Scholarship. This was a project that we signed on with Facebook in December of 2017. It involves $255,000, 10 scholarships for 5 students for 5 years. I think it's $10,000 scholarships for 5 students for 5 years. Although I think that there's 5,000 that also includes administrative fees. So it's 250,000 for the scholarships, and then 5,000 for the administrative fees. The last scholarships related to this particular program will be awarded in August of this year for the 2022-2023 school year. And then that concludes that project. The other initiative that we had going with Facebook was the Facebook Journalism Project. This was in conjunction with ICFJ, the International Center for Journalism. That was a $40,000 project that ran from April 2021 and concluded in December of last year. So that project is over with. So we're about to end our relationship with Facebook, but I'll be entirely honest, you know, NABJ takes the lead in when we plan with them the conference. So there might be some other projects coming up through that end. But as far as NHJ is concerned, this concludes our relationship with them. Any questions related to that? I'll try to answer as best as possible.
I was the one who brought this up, so I want to say something. I am very concerned about us taking money from Facebook. I think Facebook is a threat to democracy, and Facebook is using journalists as a tool to spread the evilness. We need to reject this money, and I even did some training with Facebook with the SPJ, and after 2 trainings, I quit because I saw what a hypocritical this was, and I was very, very uncomfortable of being a trainer and telling journalists and publishers how to use Facebook when Facebook is doing things. We all seen the news. I don't have to go through the laundry list of things that Facebook has done. Facebook has decided the money is more important than anything else. And we just recently, in our rapid response team, we condemned Mark Zuckerberg because of reports about how the WhatsApp, which is owned by Facebook because they own everything, you know, was refusing to create a resource to offer accurate information to Spanish speakers. Again, this is affecting us. This is affecting our communities. And us taking money from Facebook is being a bunch of hypocrites. So I have an issue with it. I even went to SPJ. I spoke to the board because they're the ones also with the training. that I was part of, and I quit after the second training that I did, and which, by the way, coincidentally was in Puerto Rico, when I became very, very uncomfortable having a relationship with Facebook any sort of way. And I think that us taking the money and looking the other way is just not a good message. It's not.
I don't, as far as I know, the only thing that remains is that one last scholarship, that goes out in August, and that's it. So I think any moving forward, this board would have to decide if Facebook wants to offer sponsorship. This board is going to have to take that into very serious consideration. I think, as you know, I'm a member of the rapid response team, so I was totally on board with the statement that we sent out. I do find our relationship with them somewhat problematic moving forward, especially because of everything that we've learned. It's problematic. Thank you.
And this would be for any future money, correct? Discussions that we'd have about not accepting any future money.
Yes.
Yes.
I agree with McNelly. I mean, as the years have passed, more information has come out regarding Facebook, and it's really against our interests as journalists to continue that partnership. So I welcome the discussion on this.
One of our audience members, Marilyn, has her hand up. Marilyn?
Yeah, hi. I just have a question. What about Google? Does anybody have any sense of Google and whether we can take any money from them?
I don't know that we have. I'm going to have to lean on staff. Do we have any partnerships with Google right now or sponsorship? I don't think we do.
No, not right now.
Okay, thank God. Okay.
Okay.
Gracias.
But the only thing that I'm gonna say is that I think that yes, we obviously, I want to have this conversation. That's why I brought this up. But you know, after we're done with this, I just want to say to Facebook, bye, Felicia. You know, that's what I want to say. I just want to say bye, Felicia. Sorry.
I message received, and as we start together sponsorships in earnest, that is something that that we need to keep an eye on who's raising their hand, and honestly, what are their motives?
They need to do better. They need to do better. I mean, I really do have a hate-to-hate relationship with this platform. They need to do better.
I agree. All right, well, this pretty much concludes our business. We left open the possibility for any of our members who are in attendance who may want to address us. Let me know at this point. Yes, Marilyn.
First of all, thank you all for all your hard work. And I just have one comment or one question to make. Have we looked at giving pay raises to staff that we currently have, given the increase in inflation and cost of living raises or anything like that at all? I would encourage the board to try to do that. I mean, Yaneth and Leslie have both worked really hard, you know, and under difficult circumstances without a boss in hand for part of the time. And I think that we should reward them for their loyalty and their dedication to the organization.
Thank you, Marilyn. That's a personnel issue, so I really can't discuss that, but appreciate your comment. Any other questions from the audience? Okay.
Wait, hi there. It's not so much a question, but it's kind of going off the platform regarding NAHJ money, Facebook money, I meant to say. When we interviewed, or some of us were on the call for an interview, one of the recommendations, and I mentioned it to Nora, I just want to put this on the record, that maybe within our bylaws, we can create a type of stipulation or statement that about money that NAHJ accepts and what the outline needs to be in order to accept funding from different organizations. And then that way we are not getting into a situation with whichever agency. And instead, at least we have some outlines of like do's and don'ts, what's acceptable for NAHJ. So maybe that can include big companies, Walmart, I'm right here with Walmart, etc. So it was just a thought. And this was, it's not my idea, but this was mentioned by one of the candidates who said, you know, if you set up a certain standard, these are your do's and don'ts, then you kind of back into who can sponsor and shouldn't sponsor. Did I make sense? I hope.
Yes. Unfortunately, as we learned from 2020, it's hard to change our bylaws. But in the absence of trying to, you know, incorporate this into our bylaws, we've been working on a sort of a guideline policy handbook to help give our future boards some guidelines on how they might want to address things. And I think that's certainly something that we can include in that as we continue to hash this type of conversation out about who do we want to partner up with and or not. But as far as doing some kind of a change to our bylaws, that will be difficult. And I'm going to let Arelis, who headed up some of that last effort, speak on this.
Yeah, Nanette, thank you so much for your comments there. I think a lot of what we're talking about, so for the benefit of NAHJ members, there's a lot of tinkering that's happening under the hood at NAHJ right now, particularly amongst your executive committee in terms of defining processes and figuring out criteria, all of which was not clearly defined for a lot of us. And because we are part of the strategic planning process, it gives us an opportunity to put NAHJ on reset. And so there's a lot of like documents that are being generated, a lot of criterias and parameters and structures that are being created right now to try and get at some of these issues. And Nanette, you pointed to one that I think is something that we are going to have a very serious conversation with our new executive director, at which point, once we've got that person in the saddle, to develop actual strategies and guidelines that are clear and transparent for all of our members as to what our expectations are for the kinds of partnerships into which we enter for the benefit of our members, and that if they're and they create therefore a process as well for members to get in touch with us if any of those partnerships represent a conflict or an issue, ethical or otherwise, that would you know, malign and not protect us, which is what our job here is the national boards, protect the National Association of Hispanic Journalists, you know, financially, as well as from the outside, right, for whatever, you know, issues that could occur. So appreciate that, Nanette. And again, for the benefit of members, please know that we are diligently working on these things, rewriting all kinds of stuff that is happening. I'm personally working on the policy guidebook, and will be sending messages here, members of the board, to give me definitions, to give me input on some of the things that we're putting together. So if you want to help out with that, please give me a call or email me ahernandez@nhj.org.
Okay, this has got to be our longest meeting on record, and we're still not done. The board will need to take a break in executive session, but the formal part of our meeting has concluded unless there are any other of our members in attendance who have something they would wish to share. If not, then I will entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Motion
Yes,
to go into executive session.
And to go into executive session, yes.
Nora, you don't need a motion, you can just declare it.
Let's declare it then. Sorry, I forget my Robert's Rules of Orders. We will now go into executive session. Look in your email for the link for that meeting. Thank you, members, for coming today and being a part of our meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so
Stay
much.
warm.
Welcome back.
So
Hey
again.
there. Oh my God.
I know. So it's so we left at 2:38 Eastern. We're going back at 3:50 Eastern. Nice.
I'm proud of you, Blanca. You kept the timing.
Oh, I know.
I forgot about that. That's
3:50
great.
Eastern, right? I get my
Yes.
yeah. Okay.
Yes, it is. 4-hour meeting.
Okay. Do we have a
Oh,
quorum? We have a
lovely.
quorum, right? We do.
Yeah.
We'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I don't think we have
Moved.
Wait, are you sure we have a quorum? I have 1, 2.
I see 9 people. What's quorum? 10? I thought 9 was quorum.
Oh, we have 10. Oh, this is
Oh my God, please don't tell me we lost quorum.
What happened to David? Maybe
We have
he's still,
9.
maybe he just come because he was on.
David and Christy.
And
A quorum only matters if we're gonna take
Where's
a
Melissa?
vote.
Hey,
And
Yeah,
then-
we're fine. Melissa joined
Yeah,
us.
we are.
We're good. Is there a second to adjourn?
I second.
Motioned, I'm sorry.
Arelis made the motion to adjourn. Julio Cesar just seconded. Okay. All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Bye.
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 Any opposition? All right, guys, marathon 4-hour meeting for us today.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Keep an eye out on your email, please. Thanks.
Bye, everyone. Have a good rest of your
Adios.
Saturday.
Bye, Steph.
Ciao. Gracias.